not intelligent.
Hey, hey.
I like your miniskirt. She deform me in a sense. Until I invade that resident. I'm the president.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all shapes and sizes, I introduce to you the Dynamic Strip plugin. Right, the Dynamic Strip plugin is my first plugin in collaboration with the amazing Teju of Cosmic Audio Labs. And our goal for creating the Dynamic Strip is actually to create a compressor that is very simple to use and understand. So I do get a lot of questions from a lot of people about compression, and compression seems to be the one thing that is a bit difficult for a lot of people to understand. And I think this is a plugin that can strip out a lot of the unnecessary bits and help you get to your desired results very, very quickly. So today I'm going to walk you through the Dynamic Strip and the Dynamic Strip Lite and show you how I use them to achieve the sound that you're hearing in this mix so far, in case you want to try it out. And you should try it out so you can support us, so we can keep expanding and keep improving on this plugin. And if you have any suggestions at the end of the day on how you think we can improve this plugin, please leave them in the comment section so we can add it in our next update. So let's jump right into Dynamic Strip very quickly. As you can see, it's a very straightforward compressor to use. You have basic compression settings, threshold, ratio, your attack and your release, and you have saturation as well built into this compressor. Saturation on this plugin is very, very smooth and musical. So even when you dial it to the max, it still sounds musical even when it's crunchy. You're going to hear it in a bit. We have the sidechain high pass filter, output, you have your mix if you want to do parallel processing, auto release, auto gain, you can save presets as you can see. And we have a bunch of compressor mode to help you tailor your sound to whatever you want. Up to compressor, we have FET, VCA, bus, and tube. And we also have oversampling as well to help you get clean high end. And then we have a gain reduction meter down here. As you can see, we don't have any output or input monitoring. We want you to mix with your ears and not your eyes. But we'll add it to the next version. Who knows? Let's see how this version goes. I mean, this is a compressor at the end of the day, and you will use a compressor for drums, for melodies, for vocals, and also for mastering. And I'm going to show you how I use the Dynamic Strip on this particular song. So first of all, I'm going to play you the drums. Very simple, actually. It's not a lot happening here. Right? And I'm going to bypass the Dynamic Strip so you can hear the drums without the plugin. And then with Dynamic Strip, you can hear the fatness that we're getting from this plugin. Okay, so let me show you what I'm doing here real quick. I have selected the opto compressor mode because I like to use opto compressor when I'm compressing drums. I just like the warm sound that you get from opto compressors. Might not always work for drums. Sometimes you might want a sharper, more snappy sound. And then I would select the VCA. Let me give you a quick crash course on how compressors work. You have your threshold. When you set your threshold, anything that goes above that threshold will be compressed. And then you have your ratio, which determines the amount of compression that you get. So the higher the ratio, the higher the amount of compression you're going to get. Very simple. And then you have your attack time. Fast attack time means the compressor is going to begin compression very quickly. Slower attack time means it's going to take some time before it starts. And then you have your release time. The release time determines how quickly the compressor is going to stop compressing. Fast release means immediately. Slow release means not immediately. This is a crash course for compression. These four controls are essentially the basic controls that you need for a compressor. So for the drum bus on this song, I've set the ratio to 4:1. I've set the attack to 10. So that way we allow some of the transient to cut through before the compression kicks in. This is typically what I like to do for drums all the time, actually, because you want your drums to be snappy. And for the release time, it's a bit of a fast release. I like fast release for drums a lot. I think it's very good to keep the groove moving. Let's come to the sidechain high pass filter. I've set this to 60, so which means the compressor will bypass everything below 60 Hz. That way we can have a very punchy low end, essentially. One thing you will notice is this plugin doesn't have a makeup gain. We only have the auto gain. So you can select the auto gain if you want the auto gain features to kick in. Personally, I do not level match when I am compressing. I just dial in the output to what I think works for the song after getting the compressed sound that I want. So that's what I'm doing here, essentially. Right? When I looked at the gain reduction just now, I just realized I'm doing about -1 dB of gain reduction at the max. So this for me is serving as an amplification tool more than a compression tool. So I'm trying to just glue the drums together and make it fatter. That's what this is doing. So let's actually just push this plugin a bit so you can hear how it sounds if we really push it. So let's go. So I'm going to just dial in, you know. Right, so that's more compression and then saturation. Just hear that. You can hear that even with the saturation turned up to the max, it still sounds good. You know what I mean? Although if you want to hear a much more aggressive saturation from this compressor, then we'll select the FET style. You hear that? Again, this compressor is designed to give you a very clean and transparent sound no matter how much you push it. So that's why you can hear that we're getting this fat, clean, warm, transparent, smooth sound even when we're dialing everything up. Let me put this back to where it was for the song. So this is how we use the dynamic strip for my drum boss. We have this light button here to change the interface if you don't like this purple. If you want something a bit brighter, you can just click the light and you get this interface. Personally, I think this purple is nice. But let me know which one you prefer in the comment section below, light or purple, although the light looks nice. So let's look at another way I'm using the dynamic strip for this song, the bass.
Fine and intelligent, I like your miniskirt. She deform me in a sense. Until I invade our resident, invade our resident. Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your belly?
Hey. For the bass of this song, I'm using just the saturation feature on the dynamic strip plugin. However, like I said before, if you want to really hear that aggressiveness from the saturation, you need to set the compressor to FET mode. Dial in the threshold because the saturation is connected to the threshold. Although we are thinking about changing that in the coming updates. Now, I think it might be better if we unlink the saturation from the compressor. For now, this is how we use it. We dial in the threshold and then we just dial in our saturation as much as we need. That's giving us the sound. Let's listen to just the bass real quick. Right, so without dynamic strip, and then with dynamic strip, bro, you can hear how musical the saturation sounds. And I need to quickly point out that I'm also doing parallel processing here. As you can see, I've set the mix to 50%. So if I push this all the way to the max, let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, this is to the max, right? And then without, and then with the dynamic strip. Bro, the harmonics are so sweet. It's very, very musical. Even after I've dialed the saturation to the max, you can still hear how musical it sounds. But we have the mix knob so you can set this to taste. And for this song, I have decided I'm going to just set this at 50%. I think this works. Yeah.
You evidence, show you evidence. Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I could show you evidence, show you evidence.
Bro, I mean, that sounds good. Again, the goal of this plugin was to create something that is very easy to use. Now, let's look at how we can use this for the vocals. So, this is the lead vocal.
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I could show you evidence, show you evidence. Are you the
So without dynamic strip,
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament?
and then with dynamic strip,
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know
it's beautiful. So let me show you how I'm using the dynamic strip plugin for the vocals on this song. I have the ratio set to 4:1. I have the attack set to 10. I have the release set to 66. I actually also like a slow attack for vocals and a slow release because I want to hold on to the compression to keep the vocals fat. All right. After that, we dial in the threshold to get the amount of gain reduction that we want. And for this vocals, we're currently getting about.
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl.
Cool. So we're getting about 7 dB of gain reduction there at the max. I'm also using opto compressor. I like opto compressor for vocals. I think it's very, very smooth. And I'm using the output to set the gain to what I think works for this song. Again, I don't level match when I compress. I just set my gain to what I think works for the song after getting the compressed sound that I want. So that's what I'm doing here. So now let's cycle through some of these compressor modes and see how it affects the vocals. Opto.
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And
then let's go to FET.
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. And
you can hear that FET is a bit brighter, just a little bit brighter. Then let's go to VCA.
Are you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go.
I think VCA is slightly brighter than FET, but it's very similar. It's almost not noticeable, to be honest.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life.
Right. Typically, I'll use the bus compressor mode for mastering, but no rules. So let's see what that sounds like on vocals.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence. I with the
You know, and then we have Tube.
I with the president. Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence.
I think I would recommend Tube and Opto for vocals.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl.
Let's go back to Tube.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl.
Yeah, I like Tube. But for this song, I think I'm gonna go with Opto though. Tube is very, very warm. This is the modern sound. This is what everybody's currently going for, right? Opto and Tube for vocals. So this is how I would use the dynamic strip plugin for vocals. Now let's look at the last use case scenario, which is on our mastering check. Without dynamic strip, this is what the song sounds like.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence.
And then with dynamic strip,
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence.
beautiful. So let's look at what we're doing here real quick. We are typically not trying to compress heavily when we're mastering. The goal is to glue the entire track together. And the bus compressor mode is best for that. So I've selected the bus compressor mode. I set my ratio to 2:1, again, because we don't want to do heavy compression, just very light compression. I've set the attack to 10 so that the transit can cut through, and the release is set to the fastest. You know, when you're mastering, you want the release to be very fast so the compressor can stop compressing as quickly as it's doing its thing. I mean, this is what I would recommend for mastering, but feel free to experiment. And I've set the sidechain high pass filter to 90, so that way we can retain a very tight and punchy low end. All right, not doing any saturation here, but obviously you have the option if you wanted to add some saturation to your entire song. And we are getting about 1 dB of gain reduction, which is great for mastering. And I also set my output gain here to 2 dB, again, just as much as I think will work for the song. So these are all the use case scenarios for the dynamic strip plugin. The reason we've created the dynamic strip plugin is to create a compressor that is easy to use. You know what I mean? That is easy, that's straightforward. And apart from the dynamic strip plugin, we also have the dynamic strip Lite. So let's look at that real quick. The dynamic strip Lite is an even simpler version of the dynamic strip. So if you don't want to think too much about what's happening behind the scenes, you still have access to all the amazing compressor modes that we have. You have the ratio and threshold to dial in the compression that you want. You have the sidechain high pass filter, you have the output, you have the mix knob, and you have auto gain as well. So this is an even simpler version of the dynamic strip plugin if you don't want to think too much about compression and what the fuck is going on. So let's actually dial in the settings and hear how this is going to work on the song. I'm going to go to bus.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence. Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament?
So without dynamic strip Lite,
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence.
with dynamic strip Lite,
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I go show you evidence, show you evidence. Can you the president?
I mean, I think that sounds good. I think that sounds fat. Although I also have the auto gain feature turned on, even though I don't need that. Let me take that off.
Can you the president? Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl.
Yeah, I mean, auto gain and output at the same time kind of sounds redundant. But as you can see, it's a very easy and straightforward plugin to use, and you can get great sound in music. Like, I mean, this is dynamic strip plugin. This is a collaboration with my guy Teju from Cosmic Audio Labs. Brilliant guy. You know, he did most of the work on this plugin. My job was mainly just quality control and ideas and trying to see what we can do. He's the guy behind the scenes minds really making sure all of this works. Guys should shout out Teju on the comment section on this video. He's a very, very brilliant guy. All right, so this is the Dynamic Strip plugin. If you're interested in trying out the Dynamic Strip plugin, I'm going to leave a link below on this video, or I'm going to leave a link here so you can get your hands on the Dynamic Strip or the Dynamic Strip Lite plugin. The Dynamic Strip plugin is currently selling for $30 and the Dynamic Strip Lite is selling for $10. So if you'd like to support those and also use a very cool, easy and straightforward Dynamic Strip tool for your music production, then yeah, click on the link below or here. So that's it for this one. I just wanted to show you guys what I've been up to, and hopefully this is the start to more amazing plugins in the future. So that's it for this one. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you've not, and if you'd like to book my services on mixing and mastering, I'm going to leave a link below to the engineers page, or you can hit me up on Instagram at BennyMacaulay.db. And if you'd like to buy my vocal preset for FL Studio, Logic Pro and Pro Tools, as well as my mixing and mastering template for Logic Pro and Pro Tools, I'm going to leave a link below to the store as well. So that's it for now. I shall see you on the next one. Benny Macaulay out.
I'm the president. Can you invite me inside your parliament? And let me sanitize your life, my body girl. I know feel like I could show you evidence, You can call me Papilo. Got a couple million, she can come and carry go. Yeah. And if you need more, let me know. Pretty girl to my body and soul. You can call me Papilo. Got a couple million, she can come and carry go. Yeah. And if you need more, let me know. Pretty girl to my body and soul. Big body girl, cause she don't panic. Bass, wine, touch your body. Wait, I like your body. Give me the type of love you want to reality.